We are just a few hours away from week 2 kicking off on Thursday Night Football, and now it is time to set your fantasy lineups. And in today's video, I'm going to help you do exactly that. We're going to go in depth through every single matchup from Thursday night all the way up until the doubleheader on Monday Night Football, and I'll be telling you guys whether I believe you should start or sit the tight ends in every single game, as well as how I project them to finish on the week. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask that if you are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. We begin with the Thursday Night Football matchup tonight of the Washington Commanders at the Green Bay Packers. Now, Zach Ertz honestly might be the most underrated tight end in fantasy football. I understand that the guy is as old as rocks and that the Commanders have a bunch of weapons on the team, but this offense is going to be very good. And if they continue to be as good as advertised in any given game, Ertz can find the end zone like he did in week 1 up against the Giants, where he had 3 receptions on 5 targets for 26 yards and a touchdown. Sam Laporta just looked great up against the Packers defense last week, so Ertz definitely deserves to be ranked as a high-end tight end number 2. Tucker Kraft mac and cheese may be the best red zone weapon in the Packers offense based on his build and the build of the other players around him, at least in terms of the pass catchers, because Josh Jacobs is a demon inside of the red zone. 2 receptions last week on 4 targets for 16 yards and a touchdown, 1 rush for 3 yards as well for Tucker Kraft. Now, Kraft did end up finding lightning a bunch of times last season, but ultimately just never really had that high level of consistency. I believe the consistency will come this year with a healthy version of Jordan Love. I feel good about a top 10 finish this week out of Tucker Kraft. Next up, we move to the beginning of the Sunday slate with the Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens. Now, David Njoku came out the gate of the season going in slow motion. 3 receptions on 6 targets for 37 yards. Harold Fannin looked the part, though. He had 7 receptions on 9 targets for 63 yards and 1 carry for 3 yards. This, to me, feels exactly like what happened with the tight ends last year on the team that the Cleveland Browns are playing this week. You remember in week 1 where Andrews was down bad and Isaiah Likely goes crazy, and ultimately, if the toe thing doesn't happen, he scores another touchdown, Likely goes absolutely ballistic in week 1. Everyone's off of Andrews. Everyone is bouncing on the metaphorical wee-wee of Isaiah Likely. And then the season flips quickly after that. Andrews is the guy and Likely is nowhere to be found, right? Everyone blows their fab load on Likely, and then he was never able to rekindle that week 1 magic. So after just 1 down performance out of David Njoku, right, where he's 3 of 6 for 37 yards, and Fanning goes 7 of 9 for 63 yards, and he has a carry for 3 yards, I am not ready to just abandon the metaphorical ship of David Njoku right now. Maybe this isn't deja vu, right? And Njoku is losing the role in the offense, but I'm not ready to just say that with 100% confidence after 1 game. So I think you got to roll with Njoku as a top 10 tight end. Now, if Fannin can take the reins from Njoku, I will have to start listing him as a start. But after 1 game, I think the smartest move is, hey, maybe you picked up Fannin, you let him chill on your bench, you see what happens here before you feed him to the Wolves and start him in your lineup. Now, Mark Andrews was invisible when I needed him the most last week. He had 1 reception on 1 target for 5 yards, despite the fact that the Ravens and the Bills were in a firefight, scoring 81 total points. Flowers, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry all had a great day, while Mark Andrews was sitting in the corner like a cuck watching this all go down. Last year started the same way for Andrews, so I am not worried. He is a top 10 tight end for me on the week. Next up, we move to the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Cincinnati Bengals. Brenton Strange did look good last week up against the Panthers, going 4 for 4 like he was at Wendy's for 59 yards. I am positive that Strange has the ability to be a high-end tight end in fantasy football, but with Trevor Lawrence looking as bad as he did on Sunday, you have to at least be somewhat nervous. The matchup here is fantastic. We just saw Harold Fannin hit the Bengals defense with the 619 Rey Mysterio last week, so Strange is startable, but I'm just not ready to put him in the top 12 range just yet. For the Bengals, Drew Sample led the Bengals tight ends in snaps with 69%. Very nice. I like. Noah Fant played 50%, and Mike Gesicki played 31%. Gesicki was coming off of a hamstring injury from earlier on the preseason, so maybe things flip this week and we see more Gesicki. Fant was the guy who found the end zone up against the Browns with 4 receptions on 5 targets for 26 yards. So for right now, I don't really want to play the guessing game with the Bengals tight ends, whether that is playing Fant or Gesicki. If we are able to get a better understanding of, who is the true tight end one, right? Who is leading the tight end room for multiple weeks in a row, then we can go ahead and say, you want to start Noah Fant. You want to start Mike Gesicki, because the Bengals offense has that ability to be so good week in and week out. But after just one game, no need to get cute and play any of these Bengals tight ends with there being so much confusion. Next up, we got the New York Football Giants at the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry's World. Now, deep down, I honestly think that Theo Johnson has the ability to be good in fantasy, but with the offense being straight up limp dick with Mr. Unlimited Russell Wilson, and with him being buried in the target hierarchy of this offense, I see no reason to even consider rostering him. For the Cowboys tight end, Jake Ferguson, he honestly could have had a better game had there have been no weather delay that completely changed the momentum in that Thursday night football game. Now, I understand, right, that's just an if, right? And I know if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle, right? If my aunt had wheels, she'd be a bike, right? All of these sayings that people have. So I understand that I'm not just going to sit here and harp that if that didn't happen, it's a guarantee that Jake Ferguson goes nuclear. But I definitely think Jake Ferguson would have looked better had the kind of air come out of the game, had the air not have came out of the game based upon what happened with the weather delay. Ferguson just kind of always sits in the tight end 10 through 14 range. Not a guy you are bricked up thinking about starting every single week, but he is a serviceable asset enough with good upside. Now, last week, he was 5 of 6 for 23 yards. We know that Dak Prescott loves Ferguson, and that has been proven over the years. So even in a spot that isn't the best up against the Giants for tight ends, I do have him as a low-end tight end number 1. Next up, we move to the Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions, the battle of Ben Johnson. Even with the Lions offense looking like straight up ass, shout out to Kim Kardashian, Sam Laporta showed out 6 receptions on 9 targets for 79 yards up against the Packers as the tight end number 5. So even if the Lions don't look great, again, Sam Laporta may be immune to that bullshit. Ultimately, we should have at least a small bit of concern with the Lions offense, but based on how Laporta bounced back down the stretch of last season, you got to feel good about starting him as a must-start top 5 option. In Loveland's debut, he had 2 receptions on 2 targets for 12 yards on 57% of the snaps up against the Minnesota Vikings. Cole Kmet played 90% of the snaps and out-targeted him with 4 targets. I do think that Colston does have upside, but if he is stuck behind Kmet, the breakout may take a while to come to fruition. So as of right now, I think Loveland should be chilling on your bench. Next up, we move to the New England Patriots at the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Miami Dolphins love nothing more than to sign a guy that's hurt and barely ever plays on the team. You might be like, Nick, what are some examples of this being the case? Well, just a few. We got Will Fuller, whose finger is probably still fucked up, barely plays for the Dolphins, Odell Beckham Jr., and more than likely, Darren Waller. I doubt Waller even practices this week, and if he miraculously is able to play and all of the stars align, I am still not playing him. Tanner Connor would be the tight end to play if you want to gouge your fucking eyes out watching this Dolphins offense, so don't even bother rostering that guy. I say this every single week, and I'm going to continue to say this every week about the Patriots tight end Hunter Henry. This guy is the GOAT of your tight end is hurt or your tight end is on bye. You need to play him, and he's just kind of sneaky good. He probably will never be good enough at this point in his career to be a league winner and a guy that you are ecstatic to draft, but he is a guy that is a nice fill-in play, right? If you had George Kittle, Kittle's down for the next couple of weeks. Boom, you throw Hunter Henry in there, bada bing, bada boom, step inside the room, and you feel pretty good about him. Tight end 15 last week up against the Raiders with 4 receptions on 8 targets for 66 yards. The Dolphins just got torched by Tyler Warren and the Colts, so Henry slots in as a low-end tight end number 1. Next up, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the New Orleans Saints. Juwan Johnson being the tight end 1 last week in all of fantasy tells you all you need to know about how insane week number 1 is every single season. 8 receptions on 11 targets for 76 yards. Can this pace keep up? Probably not, but if Johnson becomes a safety blanket for Spencer Rattler, Johnson could have a great season based on sheer volume alone. The man played 99% of the snaps last week, so while there is definitely risk involved when you're playing anyone that is on a team quarterbacked by Spencer fucking Rattler, Juwan Johnson is in that tight end 13-18 range where things don't feel super safe, but the upside is definitely there. Now, Jake Tongs scored a touchdown in Seattle after Kittle went down, and people across the United States unanimously went out and said, who the fuck is that guy? The Conor McGregor saying, right? Because who the hell is Jake Tongs? 3 receptions on 3 targets for 15 yards and a touchdown. Now, I've tried to play the game in the past of, hey, George Kittle is hurt. Let's just play the backup tight end. The Kyle Shanahan system is elite. This, that, the other thing. And it doesn't work. Now, maybe Jake Tongs is a different breed. Maybe he's built different. But with Mac Jones under center, more than likely, there's really no need to do that. Next up, we got the Buffalo Bills at the New York Jumbo Jets. But before we break down this game in depth, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends, our partner over at Underdog. If you're brand new to Underdog and sign up using promo code Notorious or by clicking on the link in the video description, you will get a free pick plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus funds, as well as if you play $5 on the pick'em, you receive $50 in bonus funds instantly. If you don't know how Underdog Pick'em works, it's incredibly simple. You pick at least 2 different players and you pick the higher or the lower on them. If both your picks hit, you get paid. If you do multiple other picks, then the payout will be higher. Make sure you guys do check that out. Promo code Notorious or by clicking on the link in the video description. So Dalton Kincaid, after all of the reports of the downfall of Kincaid came out just a few days before this game kicked off. The man went 4 for 4 for 48 yards and a touchdown as the tight end number 4. Now, he kind of kicked those reports in the face, but those reports did have some validity. He isn't going to be an 80+% snap share kind of guy. Dawson Knox, one time, if you are with me, played 56% of the snaps. Kincaid played 51%, and Jackson Howes played 19%. He probably won't be a super reliable asset for your fantasy team weekly, and you will have to deal with the ups and downs of Kincaid all year long, but he is in that fringe start range as a tight end too. Jason Taylor's son, Mason Taylor, is dealing with an ankle injury and did not practice on Wednesday. If he does play or if he doesn't play, it really doesn't change my opinion on him. Obviously, you can't start him if he doesn't play, but if he does play, I probably wouldn't start him either. His snap share of 88% last week was promising, and his profile for college is also promising, but in his second NFL game, I would just prefer to start anyone else. If he does not play, then we'll see Jeremy Ruckert in action, who is not startable either. Next up, we move to the Seattle Seahawks at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, for the Seattle Seahawks, this might be a tight end committee of death for fantasy this season, or at least earlier on in the season. The Seahawks had 4 different tight ends step on the field up against the Niners. Barner played 85%, Outs played 37%, Elijah Oreo played 31%, and Saubert played 17%. If, for some reason, you had to play any of these guys, I would lean with Elijah, because even if he only plays 30 to 40% of the snaps, I think he probably sees the most amount of targets, but there is no way to guarantee that. And it's week 2. There's no reason to play a fucking guessing game here. Guess who? Especially since I don't trust Sam Darnold at all. For Jonnu Smith, him and Pat Freiermuth both clocked in 50+% of the snaps on the team. Jonnu was 5 of 6 for 15 yards and a touchdown, and it seems like Arthur Smith loves Jonnu Smith more than Aaron Rodgers loves hating on the Jets. So if this level of targets keeps coming his way, we will have to start Jonnu, but after one game, he is just on the outside looking in of being start-worthy, meaning if you just flip two guys, he would be listed as a start. I just really wouldn't be surprised if Freiermuth saw more targets this week. Next up, we got game number 10, the Los Angeles Rams at the Tennessee Titans. If you guys have enjoyed thus far, hit that subscribe button down below like it owes you some money. Now, Allen was limited in practice Wednesday with the knee injury. Higbee led the tight ends in snap count with 58%. Parkinson played 48%, and Allen played 37%. This seems like a big tight end by committee clusterfuck, kind of like we just talked about with the Seattle Seahawks. Kobe Parkinson is also banged up, so if for some reason both of them can't play, then maybe you want to consider Tyler Higbee. But even at that point, we are too early on the season to be pulling up from half court on the fucking tight end position. Chig dominated the snap share on the tight ends for the Titans with 88%, and he also led the group in targets and was third on the team in overall targets. If Cam Ward can progress as the season goes along, we may be able to turn Okonkwo into a guy that we actually want to start. But as of right now, I don't feel remotely good enough to even consider starting him. Next up, we got the Carolina Panthers at the Arizona Cardinals to kick off the 4 p.m. slate. Trey McBride, another week for him, and another game with no fucking touchdowns for the man that is most allergic to the end zone in the NFL. 6 receptions on 9 targets for 61 yards in New Orleans. Trey McBride is going to be a must-start tight end every single week, and with a non-sick version of Kyler, we should see McBride let his nuts hang in a great matchup up against the Panthers defense, and maybe he will bless us with the touchdown this week. Probably not, but he's still clearly a top 3 tight end on the week for me. Jatavion Colonel Sanders, I like him. He said this last week, but with Bryce Young reading the defense at the level of a newborn baby reading a book last week, Jatavion Sanders scares me. 2 receptions on 3 targets for 27 yards. We did just see Juwan Johnson have the tight end 1 performance up against the Cardinals defense, but no need to chance it with Sanders, who has just 1 top 12 finish ever since entering into the NFL last season. Next up, we got the Denver Broncos at the Indianapolis Colts. This is our Colts. This is our team. We bleed blue. Tyler Warren was a target of mine late in drafts, and his NFL career started off with a loud bang. 7 receptions on 9 targets for 76 yards, as well as 1 carry for 3 yards as the tight end 3 up against my Dolphins. The Broncos were relatively solid against tight ends last season, but with Warren appearing to be a focal piece in this offense and a safety valve for Daniel Jones in a game where Jones probably can't hit those deep balls as well as he did up against the Dolphins, because the Dolphins defense sucks donkey dick and the Broncos defense is really good. So I feel like Warren is good as a top 5 option on the week. Now, Evan Ingram was limited on Wednesday with a calf injury. He ultimately left last week's contest with that injury. I don't think we should just give up on Ingram after a game where he got hurt. Now, again, if he doesn't play, then you're not going to fucking play him, but I think the bounce back is inevitable. So I got him as a high-end tight end 2, and he may even crack the top 12 range. If he does not play, we'll see the Fishman, Adam Troutman, as the tight end 1 in Denver. Next up, we got the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, with everyone injured or suspended on the Chiefs wide receiver core, with them having to rely on Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster, I think we'll see much more of Kelsey this week. Kelsey looked all right in Brazil. 2 receptions on 4 targets for 47 yards and a tug. This may be the season that goes wrong for Kelsey. I could easily see that being the case, but ultimately, I don't think that with this many guys gone from the wide receiver core for Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey just has to be super involved because of that, and I just don't see that happening until, maybe Worthy comes back or Rashee Rice. Next up for the Eagles, Dallas Goedert is dealing with a knee sprain and did not practice on Wednesday because of it. If he doesn't return today or tomorrow to practice, it would basically be the nail in the coffin for Goedert. We have seen players not practice before and then get into the game. It's definitely possible, but very unlikely that he would play. He was very involved last week where Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown were on ghost mode. If Goedert plays, he's in the tight end 2 range. If he doesn't, Calcaterra is unstartable. Next up, we move to "Cause You Waited All Day for Sunday Night," the national championship rematch of J.J. McCarthy versus Michael Penix, Atlanta Falcons at the cold like Minnesota Vikings. Now, Michael Penix may be the savior of Kyle Pitts' career. He had the second most receptions and targets on the team against the Bucs behind Drizzy Drake London. With Darnell, here comes the Mooney potentially back. That could throw a big wrench into things, though. But Pitts played well enough in week 1 with 7 receptions on 8 targets for 59 yards to draw the start for your fantasy team this week. Didn't think the Vikings defense looked fantastic last week, so Pitts is a low-end tight end 1 starter for me. Despite the Vikings having an awesome comeback win on Monday Night Football, Hockenson was on a milk carton. He was on a missing poster for a majority of the game. 3 receptions on 4 targets for 15 yards, with the team running the ball at such a high clip until they were down bad enough to where they had to throw. There is definitely concerns for Hockenson strictly based off that. Again, it's one game. We can't put all of our stock into one game and magically just nosedive off the cliff of TJ Hockenson. The talent is there, though, so you can't just quit on him just yet. You can't tap out, so he's still a must-start top 8 tight end for me. Next up, we move to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Houston Texans. Monday Night Football, game number 1, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, Otten should be able to bounce back from last week where he didn't record a single catch on his 3 targets. But, and there's a big but, shout out to Tate McRae, with so many cooks in the kitchen in Tampa, Evans, Egbuka, and Bucky Irving able to catch passes, my interest level isn't the highest with Otten. I can see him as a bye-week fill-in, or if he catches fire, shout out Katniss Everdeen, maybe you want to throw him in there. But as of right now, with him ice cold, I am not interested at all. Schultz was largely disappointing last season and didn't do much in week 1, scoring 5.8 PPR points. And even in a matchup that I like for tight ends up against the Buccaneers, I'm not reaching into the bottom of the barrel to start a guy in an offense that looked all out of sorts in week number 1. Final game here, the second game on Monday Night Football, the Los Angeles Chargers at the Las Vegas Raiders. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Brock Purdy did injure his knee in the second half of last week's tilt up against the Patriots. There really hasn't been any news regarding this injury besides saying that this is a new injury and Bowers himself saying that he feels A-okay, he feels fine. But players lie all the time, so this shouldn't be just something you take straight to the heart. It's like, oh, it's a guarantee Brock Bowers is going to play. Bowers' snap split with Michael Mayer was concerning, to say the least, but even still, he had 5 receptions on 8 targets for 103 yards. This week, he faces a Chargers defense that may scare some people away from taking Bowers and ranking him so highly. But if the guy suits up, he's a fucking top 3 option every week. And if he doesn't play, this is a scenario where, hey, if we don't get a lot of information, you could just cut someone on your bench and throw in Michael Mayer, who went 4 for 4 for 38 yards last week. The Chargers will utilize Will Dissly as well as Tyler Conklin, who outscored Dissly last week but played less snaps. Even with Herbert looking like a top 5 quarterback in the league, last week with Ladd, QJ, and Keenan Allen out there, there's just one ball, and when both of these tight ends are kind of eating up each other's value, there's no need to justify either of these tight ends with so many weapons around them, and with them being in a clear split. So thank you guys all so much for watching. If you didn't enjoy, make sure you guys uppercut that subscribe button. Like it owes you some money. Leave a like on today's video. It helped me out a ton. Check out Underdog, link in the video description, or use promo code Notorious. Check out one of the videos on the screen if you haven't seen already. Love you a long time. Have a great one. And as always, good boy.